You talk about, Paul, heading off individual and team disruption during the COVID-19 emergency. In your opinion, what is the general level of anxiety or angst that you're sensing out there, and is it justified in your opinion?
I think it is, Eve. Being in HR, you're in the trenches. So I think you can always have kind of a feel or a rhythm for how people are feeling about their jobs or the company or anything else. Most people that I'm talking to and what I'm seeing myself is the level of tension is very high these days. Now, we're 90 days in front of a presidential election, which is for a lot of people nerve-wracking because they don't know where it's going. You put the COVID piece on top of that. People are afraid to get sick. You've got people working from home who are afraid to return to work. At the time, companies are trying to get people back. And when you shake it all up and you mix it all in, there's a lot of social unrest out there, and it's finding its way into the workplace. So I do think it's very real when people are saying they're nervous, they're anxious these days. You can feel there's a tension. It's almost like there's some unexposed wires out there that are sometimes, snapping. They're kind of going off when you wouldn't expect it from people who normally don't act that way. So.
No, I think you're right on. And the question then is, how do you get ahead of that? I mean, if you're a frontline operational leader or a business owner, how do you get ahead?
Yeah. So you remember the picture we had of kids of, you hear about the Native Americans and they're sitting around the campfire and they're passing around the peace pipe and they talk. We've lost that. We've lost that ability to pass the peace pipe around and pass the wisdom from the elders to the younger generations. We've become so electronified, I don't know if it's a word, but you know what I mean. Everything,
yes.
This and cable that and digital this. And I really think we need to talk more. And in times like this, when people are nervous, you cannot over communicate. So one of the things that I recommend, for example, is companies go through sexual harassment training or anti-discrimination training. And the HR person comes in and does a presentation, or an outside lawyer comes in and does the presentation. I think that's great. But I think the manager of a group or the manager of a team has to sit with people and say, okay, you guys, I want to talk about this. For us to do so, whatever you say, we will respect. But you have to, whatever you say has to be said in a constructive content, right? With other people's interests in mind. But I want to hear where you're coming from, because this really is important to me. And because it's important to me, I want it to be important to you. And I also want to make sure that we're all in agreement as far as how we're going to treat each other with respect, and how we're always going to have each other's backs. Because no matter how tough it is out there, we're here for each other, and we've got to make sure we're tight and we know that we've got each other's backs. That concept, Eve, of having each other's backs is really important to me because it says a lot. And I think when managers can hear that, or I should say the employees can hear that from their manager, they realize that the manager is taking what is theory, what the HR guy is telling them or whatever, and turns it into something real. And the beauty of it is the manager is teaching the employees to pay it forward. When you become a manager, these are my expectations of you, because I think you can develop your own teams over time. So it's a really healthy way to do things. And it's just talking about things and giving people the freedom to talk about what their concerns are in a safe, open environment, preferably. You can do it one-on-one as well, but I think these group meetings are really important to kind of reset expectations and set the tone going forward.